Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the University of Nebraska's 150th anniversary celebration, N150. Please give a warm welcome to your Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Jeff Zeleny.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's always good to come home to Nebraska and to my alma mater here in Lincoln. And it's an honor to join you tonight at the Lied Center. A special hello to all of you on this snowy night across Nebraska who may be watching this live streaming on NET. We welcome all of you as we celebrate this historic night at the Lied Center, as we celebrate the University of Nebraska's 150th anniversary. It's been an exciting week here on campus. The Big Red is literally glowing, and our 24-hour giving campaign was supported by more than 1,500 donors. Congratulations. But tonight we're going to start with a step back. On February 15th, 1869, when the university's charter was passed by both houses of the state legislature and signed into law by our first governor. It only took a single day to pass this historic bill. Similar, of course, to the enthusiasm and efficiency we see demonstrated every day in Washington, right? But the university was a big idea. It was a place where the sons and daughters of pioneers could pursue dreams as wide as the Nebraska landscape. And the university charter made clear, no matter your age, your gender, your color, or nationality, everyone is welcome here. So tonight, we celebrate, that's right. But tonight, we celebrate our storied past by remembering the hard work and vision of our founders, our leaders, our faculty, alumni, and of course, the students. We celebrate to mark how far we've come and to wonder where that ever-present pioneer spirit may lead us next. And now, please enjoy our attempt to capture the last 150 years in 1 minute and 50 seconds. Enjoy.
The pioneer spirit, determination, hope, grit. Even before Nebraska was a state, we were investing in the future. Carving out a better life through sweat and sacrifice. With the passage of the Morrill Act of 1862, public land was donated to each state for higher education. On February 15, 1869, the Nebraska legislature took action. Lawmakers mandated the State University and Agriculture College be established in the capital city of Lincoln. The university's doors opened in fall 1871 with 130 freshmen. The first chancellor, Allen R. Benton, planned the original 4-block campus layout and purchased the land now known as East Campus. He also created the university seal. Over the next century and a half, 20 men would serve as chancellor, leaving their mark and sometimes their name on the growing university. Our founders could not have imagined the changes to the university that we know today. Facilities in all 93 counties. 26,000 students, 5,000 employees, an expanded mission of education, outreach, and research, and the occasional national championship.
That's number 5. Nebraska wins its 5th national championship.
Our accomplishments are countless. Research and innovation to feed the world. Leading the nation in digital research in the humanities, exploring ways to treat and prevent concussions, preparing generations of children to succeed. Leaders in every field. Thousands of graduates from every county, every state, every country. And at our core, that same pioneer optimism and promise burns just as brightly today as it did 150 years ago. The grit of many for the glory of all.
Come, we're running, boys, don't you hear that noise? Like the thunder in the sky, how it rolls along in the good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near with the rising cheer that will sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we are bound to win, and we're going to win today. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Cream, though they go through many a battle, our colors still are seen. So in contest and in victory, we will wave them for the team. And we'll always stir a Cornhusker, the old Scarlet and the Cream. When the sun is bright and the fields are ripe, with the tassel on the corn, you can hear it grow in the evening glow, or the hush of early morn. In the state so fair, 'tis the very air that inspires us with a zest, that in any fray we will not dismay, but will do our very best. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Cream, though they go through many a battle, our colors still are seen. So in contest and in victory, we will wave them for the team. And we'll always stir a Cornhusker, the old Scarlet and the Cream.
Thank you. Excellent. So you've just heard one of the university's original fight songs, the Cornhusker. It's a song that embodies that spirit of perseverance and grit that traces all the way back to the trailblazers who settled the Nebraska territory. It's impossible to talk about Nebraska without considering the landscape that informs our citizens and our university. Celebrated writers and poets from Willa Cather to Ted Kooser have been inspired by the land. In 1913, Willa Cather, a UNL alumna, published the first novel in her Great Plains trilogy, exploring pioneer life on the Great Plains. So ladies and gentlemen, a special treat tonight to read an excerpt from Willa Cather's O Pioneers. Please welcome Nebraska's own Hickson Lead board member and award-winning actress, Marg Helgenberger, to the stage.
Thank you. Good evening. It's wonderful to be here with all of you, celebrating 150 years of University of Nebraska greatness, because there is no place like Nebraska. That's right. I'm also honored to have the opportunity to bring to life the beautiful words of Willa Cather. I'm from North Bend, which is about 60 miles north of here. Farm town, for those who don't know, it's a farm town, about 1,200 people. And in the summers, I worked in the bean fields, and then I worked my way up to dishassling corn. I'm sure there's plenty of people in this room who did exactly the same. Now, I don't know about you, but I really didn't like the work at all. I mean, come on. You get up and start at the crack of dawn. It's hot, it's humid, it's buggy, it's dusty. You get scratches from corn, the leaves and everything. Anyway, but I did love being in the fields, in the middle of a soybean field or a cornfield or a wheat field. It just made me feel a part of nature. So with that, I give you a little bit of O Pioneers. Alexandra drew her shawl closer about her and stood leaning against the frame of the mill, looking at the stars which glittered so keenly in the frosty autumn air. She always loved to watch them, to reflect upon their vastness and distance and of their ordered march. It fortified her to reflect upon the great operations of nature. And when she thought of the law that lay behind them, she felt a sense of personal security. That night, she had a new consciousness of the country, felt almost a new relation to it. Even her talk with the boys did not take away the feeling that it overwhelmed her when she drove back to the Divide that afternoon. She'd never known before how much the country meant to her. The chirping of the insects down in the long grass had been like the sweetest music. She had felt as if her heart were hiding down there somewhere, with the quail and the plover and all the little wild things that crooned and buzzed in the sun. Under the long, shaggy ridges, she felt the future stirring. And now this is the poem Prairie Spring that opens O Pioneers. Evening and the flat land, rich and somber and always silent. The miles of fresh plowed soil, heavy and black, full of strength and harshness. The growing wheat, the growing weeds, the toiling horses, tired men, the long, empty roads. Sullen fires of sunset fading, the eternal unresponsive sky. Against all this, youth, flaming like the wild roses, singing like the larks over the plowed fields, flashing like a star out of the twilight. Youth, with its insupportable sweetness, its fierce necessity, its sharp desire, singing and singing, out of the lips of silence, out of the earthly dusk.
Born of our shame.
ready to lend a hand. I'm ready to lend a working together will bring in the harvest, the blessings of harvest. We'll plant each row with seeds of grain, and Providence sends us the sun and each row with seeds of grain. Lending an on, bring out from the farm, bring out the blessings of harvest.
Thank you, Marg Helgenberger and the UNL Opera. Fantastic, wasn't it? Fantastic. So you have just experienced a glimpse from the UNL Opera's upcoming production of Aaron Copland's The Tenderland. The show opens a week from tonight in Kimball Recital Hall, so get your tickets and support the amazing work of the Hickson Lead College of Fine and Performing Arts. Did you know that the arts have been a major focus of the university since its founding? Inscribed on the university seal is our motto in Latin, Literis dedicata et omnibus artibus, or dedicated to letters and all the arts. Perhaps this commitment from the very beginning explains the success of our alumni across the many fields, both past and present. Poet Ted Kooser is an excellent example. While legendary television personality N. Nebraskan Dick Cavett was unable to join us in person tonight, he wanted to help us celebrate this historic milestone. So we are delighted tonight to premiere Mr. Cavett's reading of Poet Laureate Ted Kooser's poem, So This is Nebraska.
So This is Nebraska, a poem by Ted Kooser. The gravel road rides with a slow gallop over the fields, the telephone lines streaming behind, its billow of dust full of the sparks of red-winged blackbirds. On either side, those dear old ladies, the loosening barns, their little windows dulled by cataracts of hay and cobwebs, hide broken tractors under their skirts. So this is Nebraska, a Sunday afternoon, July, driving along with your hand out, squeezing the air, a meadowlark waiting on every post. Behind a shelter belt of cedars, top deep in hollyhocks, pollen, and bees, a pickup kicks its fenders off and settles back to read the clouds. You feel like that. You feel like letting your tires go flat, like letting the mice build a nest in your muffler, like being no more than a truck in the weeds, clucking with chickens, or sticky with honey, or holding a skinny old man in your lap while he watches the road, waiting for someone to wave to. You feel like waving. You feel like stopping the car and dancing around on the road. You wave instead and leave your hand out, gliding lark-like over the wheat, over the houses.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in acknowledging one of Nebraska's own, Mr. Ted Kooser. And now, it is my distinct privilege to introduce the world premiere of UNL alum and composer Garrett Hope's Sea of Red, commissioned by the University of Nebraska in honor of its 150 years. The performance will feature the UNL Chamber Ensemble and a new modern dance, choreographed by Susan Levine Orida, and featuring performances by past and present dance faculty, dance program alumni, and current students. And now, Sea of Red. So earlier tonight, we enjoyed Marg Helgenberger's reading of a selection from Willa Cather's O Pioneers. Willa Cather was a writer and a woman who was well ahead of her time. As a UNL student in the 1890s, Cather would sometimes use the nickname William, and at times she would cut her hair and wear clothes more like the young men of the era. Willa Cather clearly pushed the envelope when it came to gender and social boundaries. So fast forward to 2014. A writer and cultural critic and UNL alumna, Roxane Gay, she soars to the top of the New York Times bestsellers list. Like Cather, Roxane Gay has achieved international acclaim as a novelist, a feminist, and a cultural critic. While Roxane Gay was unable to join us this evening, we are very pleased to welcome a current student from the Johnny Carson School of Theater and Film and a featured performer in the Nebraska Repertory Theater's upcoming production of the musical Hair. Please welcome Karen Richards to the stage to read an excerpt from Roxane Gay's critically acclaimed book, Dress Like a Woman.
I've never been good at dressing like a woman. I stopped wearing dresses when I was 12 years old. I'm 6'3", so if I were to wear heels, I would tower over people more than I already do. I only wear makeup if I really have to, because for some reason, I never quite learned how to do it myself. And when I was 19, I started getting tattoos up and down my arms. Hardly the mark of traditional femininity. Throughout my early 20s, I held a series of odd jobs, and what I wore to work ranged from pajamas when I worked from home to jeans and a black t-shirt when I worked as a bartender. Towards the end of my 20s, I entered the traditional workplace and wore long-sleeved shirts to hide my arms and black dress slacks that I hoped conveyed my competence and professionalism. And always I felt out of place because I was not dressing, nor did I want to dress like a woman in the expected sense. When I started writing professionally, I treated whatever I happened to be wearing, often a casual t-shirt and more pajamas or jeans, as my work clothes. In graduate school, I assumed that when I became a professor, I was going to have to wear a suit to work, that I was going to have to look the part of someone with a PhD, someone qualified to lead a classroom. I quickly realized that there was no standard look to this part. I had colleagues who taught in dirty t-shirts and paint-splattered jeans. They were, as you might expect, men. Men who knew their authority would not be questioned regardless of what they were wearing. My female colleagues, mostly younger and petite, always wore things like dressy blouses and blazers because they knew their authority would be questioned based on virtue of their gender, stature, and clothing choices. As a tall woman of an imposing size, in her early 40s, I generally wear a long-sleeve dress shirt and jeans to work, sometimes overpriced t-shirts. I wear clothes that allow me to feel comfortable and confident. That is how I choose to dress like a woman. No matter what I have worn to work, I've always been aware that the freedom to mostly wear what I want has been influenced in large part by women who worked before me, women who, throughout history, refused to allow their ambitions to be constrained by narrow ideas of what it means to dress like a woman. Dress has evolved as the role of women in contemporary society has evolved. And sometimes, dressing like a woman means wearing a pantsuit. Other times it means wearing a wetsuit or overalls or a lab coat or a police uniform. Dressing like a woman means wearing anything a woman deems appropriate and necessary for getting her work done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Roxane Gay.
And Karen, thank you. And good luck with your upcoming musical performance of Hair. And now I'm pleased to welcome back the orchestra and the choruses of the Glenn Korff School of Music. Performing composer and UNL alumnus Dr. David von Kampen's world premiere to a text by UNL alumna Becky Bozen. Welcome, Pioneers.
1871, the university opens its doors to its first 130 students. A century and a half later, nearly 290,000 students have earned degrees from Nebraska.
Congratulations.
Our alumni have become giants of business, statesmen, entertainers, authors and journalists, scientists, social activists, and artists. Our future alumni are ready to write their own stories.
I'm passionate about my community. Life is profoundly compliant, and if you hold a thought in your mind long enough, you can eventually achieve it.
There's so much pride in the state that the state has in the university and that the city of Lincoln has in the university. That's what I think about, as we're bringing audiences to the Lead Center. These are people that they built the building that I work in now. That's what gives me a lot of pride working at the University of Nebraska now.
I think UNL has shaped me as a scholar and as a person by the opportunities that I've been able to have. Now that I'm thinking about graduate school, it really makes a difference having had the chance to do all my exploring now and then know where I'm headed next.
Yeah, well, my ultimate career goal is I would like to be a physician in Nebraska, and so as a chemistry major here at the university, I've had the opportunity to explore teaching and research and different volunteer opportunities, and I've really cherished the opportunity to study here and to work with people in this great state.
When I get to go places here, near or far, and say, I'm a graduate of UNL, that will carry with it this huge sense of belonging and this self-assurance that's been given to me by going to a university that believed in me and that I in turn believe in.
Not all of us will win a Nobel Prize or invent Twitter. But a vast majority of Nebraska alumni go on to do the things that matter most. They contribute to their communities, take care of their families, grow into loyal friends and good neighbors, become engaged, thoughtful, caring citizens of the world.
Left, right, left.
Inspire the next generation, improve the lives of others, and carry the pride of Husker Nation.
Please join me in thanking our special guests tonight, Marg Helgenberger, Jeff Zeleny, Karen Richards, Ted Kooser, Coach Tom Osborne. Big round of applause for all of them. A big round of applause for Dick Cavett tonight for that wonderful reading that he did for us. You have seen some of the talent of the University of Nebraska tonight, past and certainly present. Give a big round of applause to all of these students and faculty and our directors who have pulled together this wonderful celebration of history. Big round of applause tonight. And finally, at this historic milestone, 150 years only comes around once in 150 years, right? It is only right that we come together to reflect on our proud history and to look forward to a promising and accomplished future that begins right here, right now. Go Big Red!
It's showtime as the Cornhusker Marching Band takes the stage for the N150 Spectacular. This is the pride of all Nebraska.
display of fireworks launched outside on the northeast corner of the Lead Center. There's prime viewing locations on the Lead Lobby, the Steinhardt Room, or outside on 12th Street. Again, fireworks outside, and go Big Red. Thank you very much.